Welcome to another edition of YatlifeChronicles, where we're better together than separated. How you guys doing out there today? Like I told you, we'll be doing a lot of Thanksgiving editions this month, talking to a lot of people and seeing what Thanksgiving means to them. We have a very special, unique guest on the show today. His name is Henry Hill, better known as Huck. He was one of the juvenile lifers in Saginaw County that was sentenced to life as a juvenile. He did 35 years in prison, 37 years in prison, with the help of the American Civil Liberties Union, lawyers that he's going to mention to you guys, the names, and a lot of people helped him to get to this point in life where he's at now. You know, going to prison at as a juvenile, as a what, 16? 16 years old, and getting out at how old?
54.
Getting out at 54 years old. He growed up in the system, you know. Didn't know nothing else but the system. He was a baby, you know. And we want to get his story out there, and we also want to talk to him about what does Thanksgiving mean to him, you know, because God has really blessed his life, you know, for him to be here, to be able to sit with us on the couch, to share his story, you know, and for us to have him on the show during this Thanksgiving period is just an honor, you know. So I want to say congratulations, man. You know, on coming home, man, being able to have the endurance and the adversity, man, to be in there and face that type of challenge, man, and never gave up. You know, you endured it, you stood tall, you had situations in there where you could have went left, but you had people behind you that was working hard for you, so you had to have your emotions schooled to obedience as to where you didn't jeopardize your freedom and you coming home.
Well said. Thanksgiving to me, I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful for God for blessing me with a second chance, and I just thank God that people have embraced me since I come home. And people have continued to show me love, and I just thank God for family. I thank God for friends, and anytime I get an opportunity like today to be able to, you know, speak to the community about how grateful I am for a second chance, because a lot of people, you know, didn't get a chance to see another Thanksgiving. So I'm very grateful for that, and I don't take anything for granted.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to take us back for a second. You know, you don't have to go too much into detail, but we want to go back to the day that led to those 35 years you was in prison.
The 37.
37 years, excuse me, right? Because I want to give you every day. Every day counts.
Yeah, I did every day.
Right. So I want you to just take us back to that day, man, and, you know, give as much as you can, and, man, and what happened at the park, and, you know, how did your day go? You know, how did that situation end up like that?
Well, from the childhood all the way into the incident happened, unfortunately, let me say this. I'm very remorseful. I do not glorify what happened. It was basically stupidity and young, and, you know, and it snowballed out of control. At one time, me and the brothers was very good friends. And there was no ill feelings, no animosity, or none of that. So let's be clear on that. And if I could turn back the hands of times, I would, because I regret each and every day that this happened. You know what I'm saying? But what ended up happening, you know, we was riding around in the neighborhood, and one of the brothers we had an altercation with. A few words was exchanged, and one thing led to another. When we went to the park, we didn't have any intentions of going down there for any violence or nothing like that. And when we got down there, different individuals, you know, were saying different things, and we was approached by different people or whatnot when we encountered the situation, and it snowballed out of control.
And you wasn't the actual shooter.
No, I was convicted of a aiding and abetting theory or whatnot, and I was convicted of an aiding and abetting theory, and basically they hyped it up to more than what it was as far as the media and stuff like that. And I was blessed throughout my incarceration to have light shined on the whole situation. That actually we was charged and convicted of first degree murder. And it was never a first degree murder anyway, because we didn't go out there with the intention of killing anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So first degree murder.
And that's one of the elements
right,
to first
exactly.
degree murder is that you have to prove a person's intent to kill.
Right. Yeah, and it wasn't never that.
Okay, so so you got caught right there at that particular moment?
No, we ended up leaving the scenery. When the incident happened, I left and went in a whole nother direction, and we, actually on the run for a couple of days for the incident. And during that time, I was terrified because we didn't know that we was actually going to be shot and killed by the police officers because they was looking for us, had it considered armed and dangerous. And at that time, I didn't have no education at all. I couldn't basically read or write, didn't know right from wrong. You had a 16-year-old child being, once I finally turned myself in, we all did. We turned ourselves in at my mom's house. And from that point, we thought we would get a bond. And with first degree murder, we didn't know, they had no education. You don't get no bond on that type of offense. And a lot of guys I tell each and every day right now here today, young guys, that y'all run around with these choppers and this and that and other.
Right.
If you get caught with it, that's 20 years, could be 10 years, could be 20, but then that ain't even counting what you don't did with the gun.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If somebody done lost their life with the gun, that can elevate it to a life without parole sentence.
Right.
And quite frankly, I wasn't ready for that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't ready for prison, none of that, and had no idea that I would ever see prison. And I was blessed to survive, to make it out of prison.
Right. So how long was you fighting that case when you was in juvenile?
For my whole incarceration, 37 years into all the way.
No, I'm saying how long before you went to prison? How long was you in juvenile?
I was a juvenile for 2 years. They had us. They waived us over and charged us from juvenile as an adult.
So that's when they transported you to the county jail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at the age of 17, I was transported to the county jail because they could no longer keep me in the juvenile facility once I reached the age of 17. And at that time, they was pretty much saying 17 years old was considered as an adult.
Right. So, and you went to trial. You had separate trials, or you guys had separate trials, or
me and one co-defendant, we had trials together, and the other co-defendant, he had a trial by himself.
And so you guys as the accessory had the trial together, and the actual shooter trial by himself. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. So man, just that day, man, that heaviness just weighing on your heart, on your chest, on your mind, when that jury was out there deliberating. You being young, you ignorant to a lot of things that's going on around you. Like you said, you didn't know how to read, you didn't know how to write, you was immature to a lot of things that was going on by you being caught up in this justice system.
I feel like, bro, that by me not having no education and me being placed, not to minimize what I did, what I'm saying? I knew to some point I should have been punished for, what I did, having a gun in my involvement in the period. But to put a child in this type of situation, I feel like I was thrown in the lion's den. You know what I'm saying? I feel that like in so many points and so many areas of my life that I was left for dead. You know what I'm saying? I was put in a situation that didn't nobody understood the trials and tribulations that I was going through with God. And with that being said, not having the education, it causes a great deal of frustration. not being able to read and write, it caused a great deal of frustration when I realized that in order to overcome the situation that I was in, that I had to get me some education. And that's when I started taking education seriously. And God was with me every step of the way. I asked God quite a few times, where you at? God placed on my heart, each and every step you take, I take too. So I knew he was always there, so I never gave up. And I never gave up trying to educate myself as well as everybody around me, the youngsters around me throughout my incarceration. I'm big on education because if you don't have no education, this is where you're going to be at.
Yeah. So, and you know, and you had a lot of time to train yourself, prepare yourself. When did you get to the point that you started studying that Eighth Amendment to cruel and unusual punishment, to being a juvenile lifer, being thrown in this lion's den?
I think after 10 years of my incarceration, that I realized that I need to learn my rights. You know what I'm saying? Because when I first was placed in a juvenile facility, I knew right then that it was wrong. You know what I'm saying? It was wrong. How can you hold a child to the same standard as an adult? I couldn't vote. I couldn't go to buy alcohol. I couldn't get married without the consent of my parents. It was
You
nothing.
smoke cigarettes.
I couldn't smoke cigarettes. I couldn't do none of that. So
but they charge you as an adult.
As an adult, and hold me to the same standard as an adult. And so I felt on all levels that was wrong. You know. Right. And you know, I was a lead plaintiff. It still is a lead plaintiff of Henry Hill versus Snyder. That's how it originally started, was the juvenile lifers, to get the law changed altogether. But from day one, I knew it was wrong. You know, I knew it was wrong. Me being thrown in the system, held to the standards as an adult.
So for the ones cause what was Schuett in office that time?
Bill Schuette.
Bill Schuette.
Yeah.
At the time,
he was
because
he Attorney General.
He was study combating it, and he was study fighting against it.
True.
What do you say to people like him about juvenile lifers being locked up that really don't understand the mindset, they don't understand the mentality, that don't understand the community that you come from, that don't understand the whole psychological makeup?
You said it, hit it in a nutshell. If you don't understand that, how can you relate to what I'm going through? I'm living in an urban neighborhood where it's violence each and every day, and I'm a little guy, you know what I'm saying? Not to make that as no excuse, but opposed to living in a suburb and to where I grew up at, you know. And then I feel each and every human being is worth a second chance, and it's not worth to be thrown away. You know?
And you became a product of your community, you know what I'm saying? And it's just all a survival tactic at the end of the day.
Exactly.
You know, our community teaches us to survive, you know. Nobody want to be pushed around, nobody want to be bullied, you know. And a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't know where we came from. A lot of people can't sympathize with us, you know. And I know that was a challenge for you, man, for you to constantly read his emotions and constantly read the things that he was saying to keep you and the rest of these juvenile lifers incarcerated, you know. But I know one day, you know, you got emotion in, you know. When Saginaw County prosecutors was challenging it, and on November 22nd, they decided not to challenge your freedom any longer. How did you feel when you read that, and when they withdrew that motion?
I was overwhelmed by it because I feel that I deserve a second chance and I could be a valuable access to the community out here by mentoring to young guys, which I have and I'm still doing each and every day. And actually I have a proposal for a youth program that's pending right now that I'm actually asking for fundings for it. And who better to mentor to these youngsters than a guy that's don't live through it. I don't been through it. And a lot of times, if you don't have anybody mentoring to you, you make reckless decisions, unconscious decisions, and you'll end up learning about it 20 or 30 years later. in which I don't want no young guy or young girl to ever experience to go through what I went through.
Exactly.
At all, And I don't feel that no child that should be placed in a situation where they're held to the standards as an adult. And I'm a person, I'm big on redemption. I'm big on sitting down and getting to the core of what a child is going through. Because if you don't know what a person is going through, you don't know how they might react to certain situations.
Let me ask you this question. How much, during that time, during the juvenile time, you 16, 17, going through this, enduring this challenge, this greatest challenge in your life, how much psychological help did you receive? Did you sit down? Did any psychologists come talk to you? Was you getting any mental therapy around that time? Was there any kind of psychological help?
That's
for the kids?
A great question, bro. That's a great question, and no. And once you placed in a prison system, they wavered me over and charged me as an adult, saying that the adult system was a better facility than a juvenile system, and they feel that I would benefit for being in an adult facility opposed to being in a juvenile facility for 5 years. So they sentenced me to prison, and prison, only thing they had was small engine repair for trades and stuff like that. However, when you sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, you denied all programs. So, mental, psychological help, if I need that, I'm denying that.
So you couldn't even, so when you doing life without the possibility of parole, you are denied all type of mental health programs, different hours. Wow.
Yeah. And with the case that we won Hill versus Snyder, we was granted programmings and all that stuff because you sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. You still should be afforded that. And I was in a certain program.
So you had to fight just to even take psychological courses and to get mental health.
Yes. Certain programs I was put on the bottom of the waiting list because they feel you're doing life without the possibility of parole.
Right.
You're not going to never benefit from it. So you go to the end of the list for people that got a term of years. Then it might be a 20 or 30 year list. People are ahead of you because you ain't never. They say feeling you ain't gonna never get out. So they don't feel that offering these programs to you would benefit you at all.
So it's basically like the system just take you and throw you away.
Yes. I feel that the system failed me and many others on all levels. When I got incarcerated, they didn't have cell phones or nothing out here. When I first got on the computer, I didn't even know how to turn it on. I'm still learning computers and laptops right now today.
So how much assistance, far as programming and the people that had a hand in helping you since you've been home? What's that been like?
It's been amazing. Deborah LaBelle is attorney out of Ann Arbor. Michael Pitt, his wife Peggy, they has availed me in so many different ways. Robert Dunn out of Bay City, Jeff Garrett, a news reporter, editor out of Detroit, I'm very good friends with. And if I missed anybody, please forgive me. But nevertheless, my support has been great. My support system has been really a blessing.
How was the support system when you was locked up?
Well, the old saying, family members, my family members, they was there. A lot of friends was there, but at the end of the day, a lot of people that I thought would be there wasn't there. It was more like out of sight, out of mind. And you can't blame people because you got to look at it. When I was first got incarcerated, people was young and just like I was.
Right.
And people right now today living paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So you can't, expect for people that got their own family to be there where you might want them to be there for you and your situation, And the ones that was there, I'm saying, I'm grateful for them. And even the ones that wasn't there, I don't fault them for not being there because they had a life to live as well.
Did you ever feel like, and I know being in prison with a life bit, that's the most heaviest thing that can hold a person's heart, right? And your people throw you away as well. Did you ever get to the point, man, where you just felt like people was done with you, like they had threw you away, just like the system had thrown you away?
I feel that a whole lot of times that, saying that you, like I said, you place in an environment that don't nobody know what you're going on through, the trials and tribulations you're going through. Did nobody understood my struggle but God, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when you look at a lot of people that I interact with, their education level was just like mine until I brought mine up. So how can I get them to actually understand something when they don't have, the knowledge to actually what's going on? And I don't hold no hardship, no animosity, ill feelings against anyone, because at the end of the day, we all make decisions in our life, you know what I'm saying? And some is good, better than others, and I live with my decisions I made, and I knew that I had to get some education in order to overcome the situation that I was in.
So, what prompted you to say, "Hey, Henry here, let's get an education. Let's build our mind up. Let's get some wisdom, some knowledge in here," because you doing life, natural life bit, feel like system had thrown you away. Why did you feel like you needed an education?
I feel that bro, that I needed to make a difference in life, and by making a difference.
So whether you got out, if you even didn't get out, you would still be able to apply your education in there as well as you doing it out here.
Exactly. And so many brothers that I realized that I had an influence on their life, and I wanted to always have a positive impact on any young brother's life. And any young brother that I have encountered would always tell you that I always encourage them to do better. And a lot of them idolize me. No, be better than me. Please be better than me. And my position was to the young generation and the ones coming up right now is you can do and go anywhere and have anything that you want if you set your mind to it. And by doing stupidity, you're not gonna go nowhere. Those who move too fast don't go too far. And so I feel that I had a responsibility and obligation to young brothers and sisters to show them that you can be successful without being caught up in all the nonsense. And I mentored to my niece and my nephew. Right now, both of them got master's degree. My nephew got a master's degree in business and design. He live out in Arizona, doing very well. And I thank God for that he listened to me, because, like I say, being in prison is nothing that being a person should be proud of. And while I was there, I tried to be a valuable access to everybody that was around me, and even out here.
Yeah, because when I was there, we was together at Thumb, the pier.
Yeah.
Me, you, and Rab, and that's how I was introduced, to her through Rab, this Rab best friend. And he was always an inspiration. He always helped people. He always did whatever he could for people. He walked around like he wasn't doing life, and that's what kind of got me like, man, his spirit was always high. He was motivated, he was inspirational, so when I seen him when he came home, I seen him in the mall. I couldn't believe it, because I wasn't updated on this case and knew that he had came home. But when I seen him in the mall, it was shocking, So at the end of the day, miracles do come true. God is real.
God is good.
And
let me say this, bro. It's so many guys like my co-defendant Larnell, Rab, that deserve a second chance, bro. That don't need to be in there. And it's more guys that's in there that actually got a raw deal through the criminal justice system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? How, in a lot of situations, even my situation, it's easy to throw a person in prison when the deck is stacked against them, coming out,
right.
Going into the
no
situation.
money to fight it.
Yeah, and dumb and ignorant to the law.
Right,
and you're a black man.
Right.
So that them strikes against you already.
Yeah.
and I was just determined to make things better for everybody that unfortunately have to come through the system, and just making a change in the law, which I did, and I'm very grateful for that. That I had the team to be able to change things and to make a difference out here, and for guys that's in there, because like I said, a lot of guys in there is deserving of a second chance, and I'm hoping that I see them in anything I can do.
I want you guys to see what he. I want you guys to see this. Him there, you know.
And this second chance here, that's a booklet that I'm in. Oh, it's a picture.
Yeah, man, just, you know, real life. You know, like I say, we only deal with real issues on this show, real life issues. You know, this brother been locked up 35 years.
You keep saying 30.
37 years. Because I read, you know what, I read, they said, I read with, huh?
That's when I was in the county jail. That's an old picture.
As a 16-year-old, 1980. Henry Hill was 16 in 1980 when he and two of his friends got into an argument with an acquaintance at a park. All of the people involved had guns. Henry Hill and one other juvenile had already left the park when his 18-year-old friend shot and killed the acquaintance. Despite being evaluated to have the academic ability of a third grader, the mental maturity of a 9-year-old, and having psychologists recommend he stay in the juvenile system, Henry was waived to adult court for trial. He was convicted of aiding and abetting first-degree murder and sentenced to mandatory life without parole. This is the identical sentence given to the actual shooter. Henry Hill is now 40 years old and has been in prison for over 25 years. Henry Hill has earned his GED and vocational qualifications and has exhausted all programs and resources available to him. So, I wanted to just ask you, so what do you think, man? You know, because, you know, your case will be used by juvenile lifers, man. You know, without your case, juvenile lifers can't go home.
Right.
You set the precedence for that.
Exactly.
How much further you think we have to go, and how much more do you think it's going to take for the system to change even more?
It's going to take for us to further advocate for change. My goal is to get a life without the possibility of parole for any child abolished altogether. And we got a case that's still pending in Henry Hill versus the United States, dealing with that with the UN to get it abolished. We got a favorable ruling about a year ago in respect to the case, and it can be looked up on the website. It's Henry Hill versus the United States, fighting to abolish it altogether.
Right. So, what was it like, man, after, okay, before I go there, man, I just want to ask you this, because I know you had to deal with a lot of adversity, and I know you had to deal with a lot of trying issues in penitentiary. 35 years. You know, you went to level 4. You been to 5s before?
No, I was blessed not to even go
to 4, right?
5s or up north.
Right.
Throughout my 37 years.
Oh, so you never even went up north for 37? Wow.
No, I never went up north.
That was amazing.
I stayed, once I got to a level 2 setting, it was from 1989 all the way until I was released.
Right.
Yeah, but I never went back to a level 4 because I realized in order for me to get out of prison, my institutional record was going to play an important factor.
Role. And you knew that early on in your bid?
Early on in my bid, I didn't.
Right.
Because I'm looking at it, I'm just starting off or whatnot. It is what it is. And a lot of things such as that I wasn't concerned about. I was still trying to adjust to being incarcerated, you know, when I first got into prison. And when I remember like it was just yesterday when the bars closed when I first got in prison, and I'm looking around and the guy come and asked me that I want some cleaning supply, and I looked at him, I told him to set it down. He said, well, babe, bro, you got like 10 minutes to use this stuff, and I got to come back and get it. I said, okay. and the bed was upside down, feces all in the toilet, and the cell was a mess. And the first thing come to my mind, how's I'm gonna do a life sentence in this little cracker box cell? You know, it was horrible. The water was brown, and so, you know, I was just basically trying to adjust.
You was behind the wall.
Behind the walls, get myself to adjust to that. And it wasn't easy at all. You know, you see different incidents of being behind the walls or whatnot that you least expect to see.
Seeing people get killed, seeing people get stabbed at 17 years old. Yeah. You know, and then you having to survive in there on your own.
Exactly, defend myself,
Exactly. So, like those trying situations, man, how hard was it to not put your hands on a person, to not jug a person, to not just to walk away and say, man, you know what? I got something bigger on my mind and something bigger that I'm trying to do as far as getting out of here, as to where I'm gonna walk away from this issue that's bugging me, that's trying me. You know, I got this guy just steady weighing on me, just steady nitpicking. This guy steady disrespecting me and all type of stuff. It's all type of disrespectful stuff go on in the joint, man. How did you just formulate your mind, man, to just disdain that type of stuff?
One of the things I realized, what got me to prison, pride. It's sometimes you gotta not let your pride get in the way and walk away from a situation. One of the things I learned about pride, it takes pride to walk away from the situation, because I look at things like this, that I can be a fool by myself. So if I allow the situation to get me off my square, then I don't feel right off into the person's hand.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that person
and that's
got
too much
complete,
power.
right, it got
complete
complete control
of you.
over you. You
exactly.
know? And I never want to put myself in a situation where I allow my pride to get in the way, because I realize that it takes a man to apologize to another man. You know, when you're wrong, it takes a man to be apologetic. And a lot of brothers that I mentor to right now today, that humble your pride, be apologetic and to a person, because all the rest of the stuff, you ain't going nowhere with it. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a situation where you can walk away from the situation and think about how beneficial it is, me walking away from it 20 or 30 years from now, is thinking. You know what I'm saying? Being able to use your head and being able to think and to walk away from a situation where a lot of times our pride won't let us walk away from a situation.
So sometimes in life we have to elevate our perspective past the moment. You know, a lot of people only want to live within that moment, and you have to be able to see past the moment. Like he said, when you look back on it 20, 30 years, you know, that could have been a mistake that went left that would have cost you your life, you know, and you really have to put your pride to the side. You know, you have to humble yourself at times. You know, you have to do what's best for you. How important, man, is it to be able to look past the moment and to be able to look further to see where your actions will carry you? You know, whether they negative or whether they positive. You know what I'm saying? Positive actions gonna carry you on a good journey, just like negative actions gonna carry you on a rough journey. You know, so how important is that?
It's very important, for the simple fact that each and every day that I wake up, that I'm blessed to wake up, I try to make myself and make that day a better day. And me become a better person to my surrounding, my family members, my friends, and to the youngsters that surround me, that you can do better and strive to do better each and every day. Because that's what I do. You know, I'm not gonna never sit here and say that I'm a perfect individual, because I'm not. And we all fall short of the glory. But at the end of the day, I focus on being positive. I don't want no negative energy around me, or none of that.
And you know how to look past the moment.
Exactly.
You know how to, you know, see past that moment. So how being able to have that quality and developing that quality in there, you know, being able to see past the moment during your most trying times in prison, then developing that quality and bringing it out here where you really need it.
Yeah.
You know, because your patience and everything is, everything is being tried out here. Your
Exactly.
blood pressure high, man, life is just, how different was that, man? Learning that and developing that characteristic in there and coming out here and being able to use it as well.
Well, I look at it like this: making the transition from being incarcerated to out here. Out here, I realize if you don't take one day at a time, out here can be very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming to a person that's been incarcerated 37 years because one of the things that I focus on that I can't make up for 37 years, bro. I cannot make up for that.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I don't miss that I would never make up for, and I'm good with that.
Prom, graduation, 18-year-old birthday,
so,
21 birthday.
Yeah, so a lot of my dreams, I'm living my dreams through the youths. I'm living my dreams through them, through the
transmuting that energy through the youth.
Yeah, exactly.
Transmuting that same energy and the things that he missed out on, being able to live that vicariously and see that through the youth.
And that's what I strive for each and every day. A lot of things that I can't dwell on what I don't miss because it's said and gone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Because you chasing the ghost. You chasing something that's not even there.
Right.
It's better for you to just start off where you at in life.
Yeah.
Just start at that particular point. So when you came home, what was after 37 years and you sitting there, you're on your bunk, you're waiting to go home, Just take us through that little moment right there, man. How was that for you?
I was so overwhelmed and so enthused by coming home and not realizing me being released from prison, I'm released to a war zone out here. Actually a war zone out here. And what I mean by that, bro, I'm just going to be short on it. I had never heard of men jumping on women and shooting and killing women. And that's what's going on out here right now today. And it's so sad.
It's at an all-time high.
Yeah, it's at an all-time high.
Killing babies.
Yeah, and women, you look, women and kids getting killed for no reason at all.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, what I realize that a lot of things that kids doing out here and people that's doing nonsense, they ain't realizing what they're doing and the ratification of their behavior, and they steady doing things unconsciously, not knowing the effect that it's gonna have on their life and other life around them, the people that's coming up, and I mean it's just horrible out here, bro. And like I said, I was so happy to come home and when I came home to see what I'm facing when I got home. I said, wow, this let me take one day at a time and to adjust to being out here, and it just the life out here.
Having to adapt to the digital age, adapt to the personalities, to the different psychologies of people, learning how to drive a car, you know what I'm saying? Getting your license, learning how to cook on the stove,
In certain microwaves, I'm still learning how to work right now.
See?
and certain features on my car I don't even know.
Right, so it's like a rebirth, being born all over again for you.
Yeah, all over again. And like I say, if you don't be careful, that you'll find yourself back incarcerated because out here could be too much for a person to handle. And I wouldn't wish being incarcerated on anybody, and just a lot of things that you're going to have to just sit down and focus on and learn. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my learning, I learned from others that I see out here right now today. Some of the mistakes that I see young brothers and even guys my age make, okay, I know not to do that. You know what I'm saying? I learn and capitalize off of things that I see. Even when I was incarcerated, certain things that I see, I capitalize from stuff that I see.
And that's when you got out here with all the madness, with all the chaos that's going on around you, you seeing this. You seeing where you was more needed. You seeing where you can have more of an impact in people's lives. And
that's so important, bro, to be able to make a difference in people's life. And I have done that in so many people's life, make a difference. because a lot of people have a bold perception about a person, stereotype you until they actually get a chance to sit down and meet a person. And you know, the old saying, they judge a book by its cover. I don't never want to be defined for something that happened 37 years ago, and something that I did as a child. Not, I take responsibility of things that I did as a child. A lot of things I ain't understood what I did as being a child, and I don't feel like, you know, every child has to be punished, but being punished for the rest of your life for a mistake, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel no child deserves.
Right. Everybody, you know, you feel like they deserve a second chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because of the mindset that they're in. They said that you were that you had the mindset of a 9-year-old at this particular time.
An education and academic level of a third grader.
Of a third grade.
And a mentality of a 9-year-old child, which they know right from wrong, and was basically was a follower. And I realized throughout my incarceration, in order for me to make a difference in people's lives or whatnot, I cannot be a follower. I got to be a leader. I got to be able to set goals for myself as well as my environment and my people. And that's what I strive each and every day, to set goals, structure, because if you don't have any type of structure in your life, it's going to go to the left. Excuse me. And when I was out here, I was young and wild. And, you know, in an urban neighborhood, I didn't have no structure in my life.
You just was a product of where you came from.
Exactly.
So, have you had any communication with the victim's family?
I've seen one of the cousins, a couple of the cousins, and one of the brothers, and apologized to both of them. And seen a nephew. I seen quite a few family members that I did sit down. We had conversation. Wasn't no ill feeling, wasn't no animosity, and you know, everybody that I spoke to, as far as family members, they pretty much understood that, you know, you was young when this incident happened, and they knew, you know, that I was very remorseful, and I embraced the situation, and reached out to, you know, a family as well as a friend and whatnot, and, you know, expressing my remorse and everything, you know, for the matter.
And would you like to say anything to the family right now?
Yes, I would continue to like to say that, you know, I'm very remorseful. I take nothing for granted, and I hate that this ever happened from day one. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause like I said, me and the family was very good, close friends and all that. You know what I'm saying? Our parents grew up together, and it was like everybody knew each other in the neighborhood. You know? And we had a good rapport with each other from day one. You know what I'm saying? So somebody losing their life, bro, I'd never glorify that in no form or fashion. I'm very sympathetic. I'm very remorseful for the brother losing his life.
Right.
And
so let's talk to the young people for a minute, you know, because we got all this killing, we got all these, you know, like everybody riding around with 30s and, you know, just not valuing life, you know, and everybody behind that trigger, you know. And two things Rab told me when I was locked up. He said, when you shooting that gun, two things can happen to you. You can't tell on nobody when you get caught shooting it, and you gotta be prepared to die yourself when you shoot it, you know. So it's all in all, it's a dangerous job. It's a death-defying job, you know. So to the youngins out here, I want you to talk to him, man. Being in an actual shooting case, going to prison all those years, you know, being like you was thrown away, coming out here after 35 years, relearning life, you know, like explain to these guys out here, what's the benefit of that?
but it's
Running around here with these guys every day.
My
Like
position,
it's the Wild Wild West.
my position with guys, and I mentor to young guys. I ran them to one guy, and I asked him. I said, "Young bro, pull your pants up." You know, I was going in the store, and he said, "Okay, school." We went in the store, and I acknowledged he had a gun on him. I said, "You know, who you beefing with? Why you go to gun? Cover that up." And he started covering up. He said, "I ain't beefing with nobody." I said, "So what's the point that you have a gun?" He said, "I'd rather be caught with it than without it." So I said, "Okay, you appear to be very smarter than that, right? So let me break it down to you on layman terms. First and foremost, you having that gun, 9 times out of 10, you don't even know if somebody done been shot and killed with the gun, what's done been done with the gun. Whatever you do with the gun itself is mandatory probably 10 years. And whatever you do with it is going to be additional. So the point that I'm making is, when you go to prison, you just made a statement that you rather be caught with it than without it, right? If you go to prison, you ain't got no gun, and 9 times out of 10, you don't know how to fight anyway. So that you feel like that the gun give you some security. And my position is, if you got to be somewhere that you feel that you got to carry a gun each and every day, you need to reevaluate, take inventory of what you're doing, because you don't need to be there, bro. If you got to go somewhere every day that you got to have a gun, you need to change your surrounding, change your location and all that. Because you shouldn't have to go nowhere where you feel that you got to have a gun every day at all.
So do a lot of this. So I see when you was talking about, like, you got with the victim's family, the cousin, and the different family members, and they understood the situation. But then you have situations where you shot me a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I was fighting for my life. Or you shot one of my gang members or family members or anything, and you go to prison, you get out 20 years later, I still want to see about this incident that happened 20 years ago. How do the person that's trying to change his life, that don't want that side of life no more, what does that person do?
I think you have to look at it like this, bro, that 2 wrongs don't make a right.
Right.
And what I mean by that, if I kill a person, because I don't lost family members as well. If a person react to that, you go to 30 years, I still got animosity. At what point you gonna let it? When is you gonna let it go?
Right.
And with that being said, it's learning how to value life. And what I mean by that is, if you commit a murder and go to prison, person don't lost their life due to tragedy, violence, or whatnot, right? And on the other hand, you don't lost your life to the criminal justice system. So it's a no-winning situation. I can be in prison for the rest of my life, and the person don't lost their life for basically stupidity. And how I would encourage a person in respect to that matter is, it's nothing in the world worth losing your life and going to the prison for the rest of your life. It's not. And there's no money in the world that's worth me losing my life and my freedom. And I tell a lot of the young guys, it's one thing to lose your life, it's another thing to be tricked out of it too.
True.
And like I say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. I looked at it, even in my situation, with all the time that I did in prison, that unfortunately a friend of mine has lost his life. Mm-hmm. And 37 years, I lost my life to the criminal justice system. And I could have been out here working, could have been retired from a GM, or been a doctor, a lawyer, anything, but my life was spent in prison. Mm-hmm. So I feel that a lot of young people out here, and including the old, is not valuing life at all. Because if you value life, you would analyze a lot of the things that you're doing that could lead you to losing your life or being incarcerated for the rest of your life. Either or is a no-winning situation. There's no coming back.
So this era, you being doing 37 years and coming out seeing this era, this gang era we live in, and you know all this beefing on the internet and
what you getting out of it? What is it accomplishing? It's not accomplishing anything.
And back in your era, you know, people throw real words at each other, and people, you know, they get into physical altercation, you know, when I see you on site. But now it's if you write something on the internet and I write something, 9 times out of 10, if you go on the internet, it's gonna happen. Something gonna happen because you got 1 million people viewing it, and they waiting to see a show. So just give us some game, man, on being able to compartmentalize that fake social media life in real life.
I'm not big on social media since I've been home. I don't know. I say happy birthday, happy anniversary on social media, this and that and other. And a lot of stuff I feel that's foolishness on social media. And what I mean by this foolishness is ain't nowhere in the world that a person should be going at war with another person because some words was uttered that you don't agree with, or whatever the situation may be. Because at the end of the day, social media should define who you are, and a person shouldn't lose their life about some words. You know what I'm saying? On social media, it don't make any sense to me, and it might never make any sense to me at all because I don't do social media. You know what I'm saying? I do. I'm very grateful to you for the interview. Other than that, I just look at some of the things that's been done out here in general, and for me, I can't put my mind on why would people get caught up in some of the stupidity that they get caught up into. But at the end of the day, if you ain't looking to better yourself and educate yourself all around the board, certain things you're gonna get caught up in. You know what I'm saying? That you might not realize until it's all said and done, and this could be too late.
Right. So, what was the first thing you ate, man, when you came home? After 37 years in prison, what was the first thing you ate? World food.
I think I ate some tacos. Man, I ate so much I don't even remember. I ate a taco, tostadas, Angela. Man, I ate good.
Grace had your stomach toe up, did it?
Yeah. Stomach still adjusting to it. So there's things right now that I eat that tear my stomach up.
Yeah.
But my adjusting, I'm still adjusting and learning things right now to this day, bro. And anytime a person tell you that they know everything, they don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I never said and tell anybody that I'm perfect and that I know it all, because I don't. You can learn from a dummy.
They say it's what you learn after you know everything that counts.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah,
and man, we just appreciate you coming to the show, man, and talking to the viewers, man, about your life story and everything that's going on with you. You know, it's very, very inspirational story. You know, for him to endure that and the reason that I asked him, you know, why was it so important to educate himself? Because he could have easily got caught up into the prison folly, got caught up doing the mediocre things in prison, because it's so easy. But with a life bit, he chose to go in another direction and educate himself. So that tells a lot about the man that you are.
I want to say this, bro. When I was incarcerated, I seen so many brothers give up. And I never wanted to be a brother that gave up on what I believe in and what I knew was wrong. And I said, before I give up, I make them shoot me off this barbed wire fence before I give up. Because I feel that God had a bigger and better purpose in my life for me to do life without the possibility of growth. God gave me a vision. It was years ago. He said the number is going to be 7, which 7 stands for completion. I didn't know if it was going to be 7 years, 17 years, 37 years, 47 years, or 57 years when I get released from prison. But that was a vision that God gave me. I got out in 37 years, and to confirm what God had placed on my heart, I got out in 2017. So that was further confirmation how God had worked in my life.
Wow.
And how God had changed my situation around. And it wasn't easy, you know what I'm saying? I had my trials, and I had my times where I actually myself felt like giving up, and somewhat could understand why God's giving up. I filing stuff into the court system. Every time I go to control center for legal mail, denied. And that get very discouraging.
Right.
But I knew that God had a bigger purpose for my life than me to be in life for the rest of my life in prison. And my goal, and still is to make a difference in all these youngsters' life.
Right.
If I can make a difference in their life, I'm happy, man.
Right.
I'm happy.
Let me talk about how many brothers that you went in with, man, because I know y'all kept bumping into each other over the years, you know what I'm saying, on a lot of them yards, man. Talk to us about, from the time, your early years when you went in with a lot of them brothers, man, to like during the time around the time that you came home, how you seen them brothers start to go crazy, man, let that prison stuff get to them, man, and they lost their mind in there. Because it's so easy to lose your mind,
easy,
and
it takes a strong mind to survive and endure that. And then a lot of brothers are lost their mind because they don't have nobody out here.
Right.
To keep in touch with. And I was good at keeping in touch and abreast with things that was going on out here. I had a lot of family members and friends that I communicated with, and it was like, to a certain extent, that I was incarcerated, but I was interacting with people out here in society, and I was doing things throughout my incarceration, as far as changing laws and stuff like that, that made me feel worth of something.
So that was that stimuli to keep you going and keep you moving every day, to keep you energized, high-spirited, man, to just have that endurance to get through that adversity you got through.
That keeps me motivated. It keeps me going. And I think the most important thing that I could have did was stayed in my Bible. I went to Bible theology school, got several certificates for that. Straight A student in Bible theology school, and that was the best book I ever read in my life, and I still read it right now today, because everything that's happening out here now, it speaks of it in the Bible. Nations against nations, generations against generations. All that is in the Bible right now today, and we live in it. Unfortunately, a lot of things we living into the Bible right now today. And it just motivated me, and it kept me strong, man, because I knew that it took a strong-minded person to endure being incarcerated for the rest of your life.
Yes, it did, man. So, man, the theme of my show is we're better together than separated.
Absolutely.
Give me some of your thoughts on that.
I feel together we stand, divided we fall, bro. And I feel that unity, which is my goal, to bring unity back into our community, back into society, period. Because a lot of the unity, bro, is not there. Like when our grandparents was around and stuff, everybody would meet up over to grandma's house, big mama house, for dinner, this and that and other. And it wouldn't be no foolishness. Now you got younger guys out here shooting at their first cousins, their brothers and all that. And our family members that we had, Big Mama and all that, wasn't buying that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Y'all love each other, y'all learn from each other, y'all teach each other, and most importantly, get along and just stay out of harm's way. And that's why I encourage everybody each and every day. Try to get along with each other. And it's so much it is so much talent out here. There's so much talent out here, and a lot of people, youngsters, using their talent and energy in the wrong direction, in the wrong places. When you can use the talent and the energy and the gift that you have to make a better community, a better life for yourself and for everybody around.
I tell people all the time, if you want to build your community up, it start with you. You can't wait for nobody else to help build your community up. It start with you. Quit waiting on somebody else to build your community up. It start with you figuring out how you can be a resolution to the problem, you know.
And you so right about that, bro. One of the things that I realized years ago, it had to be like 30 years ago. The only person that's hindering me is me. And a lot of times we procrastinate about doing this and doing that. And, you know, I'm guilty to that to a certain extent.
Yeah,
we should have been had this interview.
Yeah,
we
right.
should have been had this interview.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We get caught up on, you know, the things that are going on in our daily life. But at the end of the day, I'm very grateful for having this opportunity to be on your show. And only person that's hindering you is you.
Right.
And I realize,
so you can't get in your own way at the end of the day.
No.
You know. So that's what we're gonna leave y'all with. You know, sometimes we can be so smart and we can be so think we know it all to the point we get in our own way and don't even know it. So sometimes we have to let life just lead us on the journey like it did Huck Henry. You know, life led him on a journey in prison. He created a life. He had to fight through the courts to even get any psychological help, to get any mental help, you know, to take any classes in prison, you know, but he constantly never gave up. He kept fighting, kept challenging himself, taking himself to greater and greater heights. So after the 37th year, it was time for him to walk out the door, a full-blown man. He went out. I read it. The lawyer said he went in as a puny young punk.
Yeah.
He said you went in as a puny young punk. But today, he's standing in front of you as a full-grown, mature man. You know, we want to congratulate you on your journey, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me too, bro.
You're very welcome.
And I apologize for us not having this interview and doing this way before now. And like I say, it ain't 2 days the same. You know what I'm saying? It ain't 2 days the same. And I thank God for us having this opportunity to, you know, to have the interview. And I hope this be an inspiration to the world out here, to each and every person that's viewing it, that this be an inspiration to you. Because at the end of the day, we each other people, and it's no big U's, no little me's. I feel that we all are equal, and let's put our heads together and make our community a better community.
And we're going to leave that as the last word. You know, you on any social media?
I got Facebook.
Facebook? Give them your Facebook.
Shit, I forgot what it is. I think it was my
he forgot his Facebook, but we'll get it. We'll get to it.
They go.
But I will tag you on Facebook, and I'll get you guys to social media on Facebook. But other than that, we'd like to thank him for coming in, man. Very inspiring story. You know, like I say, you know, these real life issues. You know, real life. So, thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of YatlifeChronicles, where we are better together than separated. Thank you guys.